what's up everybody? My name is Jordan. I live in Olympia, Washington, and this is FSD Beta 10.2. Not to add to the onslaught of folks who have received the wide release of Beta 10.2, but I just haven't seen any videos from where I live, and being a little bit selfish, but still wanting to contribute to the community, I've been driving around a bit. And this is one of the first drives where I felt comfortable being able to record and monitor the car at the same time. And I just wanted to share this with anyone who lives in the area and is curious about how FSD might perform. This is the first awkward moment. The car likes to stay in the center of the road when there's no lane markings. And when there's oncoming traffic, it doesn't really react until it senses the car or sees the car and moves over. Here's another moment where the same thing kind of happens, except in this case the car slows down a lot. Hopefully we'll see an update to fix that and maybe drive a little bit more normally through these neighborhoods. A lot of them have no centered lane. Here we're coming up to a left-hand turn. The car stops 10 feet before the stop sign and just takes its time. I was debating whether to take over, but there was no cars around, and I'd rather the car be safe and slow rather than fast and unsafe. And I'm gonna fast forward through some of the uneventful moments in the drive, and I'll stop at places where the car does something really well or just outright fails. Here we are coming up to kind of an awkward intersection. It's a stop that goes immediately into a yield on a one-way. We obviously got here before the van, but the car still hesitated a bit. I did intervene with the accelerator pedal to kind of push it through the intersection. So, intervention number 1 for the drive. I was impressed by the way the car handled merging onto the one-way. And the other thing that's quite interesting is the old version of autopilot would often try to go over this right-hand solid line marking. It would often get confused on where this right lane would start and end, and often we would be weaving in and out of the parked cars. FSD 10.2 has no hesitation. It knows exactly where the center lane and right lane marking are. This left is a pretty confusing turn, especially with construction going on. The car somewhat hesitates. I personally would have probably driven this slow, and then we completely break a law crossing over a solid white. I do report this, or at least try to after tapping the screen 11 or 12 times. And here we're coming up to a pedestrian crossing the road. There is a car in front of us who does stop. Just nice to see the pedestrian be recognized on the screen. And this is probably the most difficult part of the drive. It's 2 roundabouts back to back. We drove this route yesterday and completely failed going through both of the roundabouts. Here I'm going to try and give it a little bit more time. I was a bit impatient yesterday. So we're approaching the roundabout and it immediately wants to just stop or go really slowly. I encouraged it a little bit as there are cars coming from behind us. And this time it does go through the intersection, but immediately crosses over into this left lane. I do report this again. It gets so close to being able to go through the roundabout. There's something about these double lane roundabouts that just gets it confused. And we're coming up to another one again, so let's see if it can do it. Again, it just wants to stop there. I encourage it a bit with the accelerator pedal, and this time it actually does go through the intersection. Here we're coming up to some standard left-hand turns. This one is at a signal intersection, and we're waiting our turn in line. I don't think that 10.2 should be released to everyone just yet. I can certainly see where its faults lie and where its weaknesses are. This is an interesting left-hand turn as We're turning into the closest lane behind the bus where the car couldn't see, and yet it does it so confidently. Very impressed by that turn. And now we're driving into the mall parking lot. This is a three-way stop, no other cars, pretty standard, executed pretty well. And this I thought was an interesting encounter. We're turning right into this awkward parking lot, and the car starts by doing it so confidently and then stops when it figures out, oh my gosh, we might be too close to that car, and is a little bit too close for comfort. Very close to intervening, but decided not to and just see what happened. We're here, we're at the destination. This is where I put the pin on the map. So a handful of interventions, but 0 disengagements, and overall really impressed with how well FSD handles regular driving. So that was our first experience filming and driving with FSD 10.2. If you know of any areas in the Pacific Northwest that you'd like to see FSD attempt, comment below, and we hope to bring you more of these videos in the future. I know a bunch of people are going to ask, our safety score was 100. On Tesla Scope, it was rounded up from 99.76. We received the email and the software update through the app just after midnight on Monday. I hope more people get invited to the beta soon. Please stay safe. Like I said, this is the first time we felt comfortable filming and driving. We have camera mounts, and I'm not looking at monitoring any of the audio or video while I'm driving. 100% focused. I often tell people that it's 1.5 times more difficult to drive with autopilot just because it's like babysitting a teenager. I'm just rambling now.